Hi everyone, Jem here. Welcome back to my creative space. Now today this is the second half of my video walking you through the process with me of putting together a journal to take part in the Dephemerember challenge. I'm gonna have to learn to say that word properly. Right, Dephemereber. Anyway, I'll link below. It's run by Barbara at 49 Dragonflies and Louise Heinzel. I'll link their channels below. But I'm putting together a journal ready to put the ephemera in that I make as part of that challenge. And as you'll see in my last video, I covered an old diary with some napkin which had been put onto fabric. And then on the inside I used a beautiful piece of vintage, I think it's actually upholstery fabric. Alright, we've got the original closure from the diary and I've stitched around the edges. Now the only other thing I've done since I've finished that video is I actually gave the front cover, or the front and the back cover, another coat of Mod Podge. Now I used this as opposed to the PVA glue because my Mod Podge is a matte one and I wanted a matte rather than a shiny finish. So I've done that just to give it a little bit more protection because I thought this is probably going to need to be quite hard wearing if we're in and out all the time putting different ephemera in it. Okay, so that's where we're at. There's the cover. What I'm going to do today is something I've never tried before, so you can learn along with me or laugh along with me. I watched Barbara at 49 Dragonflies do a hidden spine, and I've never tried this before, so I thought, right, let's challenge myself. And so today I'm going to put my signatures into this journal ready to go, but I'm going to be using a hidden spine method. And in the last video you will see I created a spine like this, and I'm going to be attaching, rather than attaching my signatures through the cover where you would see the thread binding on the outside, I'm going to be attaching them to this. So this is a piece of the same fabric and it's stuck onto a piece of card. I think that was an old file folder. And so I'm going to be attaching my signatures to that and then attaching that to the journal. Now as you can see, I've already prepared some of my signatures. I've decided to have 3 signatures with 4 pages in each. So folded in half, that gives me 8 sheets, 16 sides, which is actually 48 sides altogether. So if you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've actually got about 48, which is probably way more than I need because there are only 18 prompts for Dephemerember. But I wanted to leave some extra because, for example, we might want to do a cover page or an ending page. And I thought some days, if I get enthusiastic, I might want to do a double spread. So I wanted some extra room for playing in there. So there we go. I'll give you a quick flick through some of the pieces I've chosen. And you'll see that some of them I've already stitched around. Now, I've not gone and bought anything for this challenge. And that's the way I'm going to hope to keep it. I'm just wanting to use things from my stash that I already have. So here I've got some coffee dyed paper, and that's backed onto a piece of scrapbook paper. And I've got to be honest and say, I very rarely buy anything new. I will scour secondhand shops, Facebook Marketplace, things like that. And this was a piece of scrapbook paper I picked up recently in a pack of random things from one of our local op shops. So anyway, I've got some scrapbook paper. This is some vintage paper. which again has come to me second hand, and this one was quite long, and so I have folded it, and I haven't made a pocket at the moment. I may make that into a pocket. I may just leave it as a flap out. This piece here, the packaging that you get, the cardboard packaging, I've scanned it and printed it. So that's how I've got that background. Again, some coffee dye paper. My printer was having a really bad day. I probably it's about time I had an upgrade, but this was a gel print that I'd made and scanned. And whilst it's not perfect, I think it's quite a good neutral background. I've tried to keep these backgrounds really quite neutral so that I can add, I'm not constrained by the pages that I have in terms of the ephemera that I make, if that makes sense. This again is a scan. It's a collage. For those of you that watched the zine video I did recently, this was a background I made for a zine. I've scanned it, it's a collage, I've scanned it, and then I've popped it into Canva and added different filters, different colour filters, so I can print this off in whatever colour I like now. Again, you'll see down the edge here, my printer is having a funny 5 minutes, but in all honesty, I don't want to throw this away. I'll incorporate that, or I'll put something over it when I come to do use that page. I've got a little extra flappy here. I don't know what this has come from, to be honest with you, but I thought it might go in there quite nicely. Okay, that's it. And the next signature, this is a piece of scrapbook paper, again backed with some coffee dyed paper because the back of the scrapbook card was white. I've got some old music sheet in here. And this music sheet was so old that it was stitched by hand. So, wow, look at that. Again, that same print, the collage in a different colour. I've tucked an envelope in there. I quite liked this one because it had the pretty green colour inside. Some more vintage paper. And this is a book page, which I thought was rather nice and that I could do something with, or indeed leave as it is. So that's that one, and the last one, again, this is a page from that same book. Now this piece of paper, for those of you who watched my coffee and tea dyeing video the other day, you'll know that when I was drying my papers, I put some a sheet of paper down underneath my drying rack to catch the drips, and this was actually one of the results, and I thought that's really cool. Let's put that in there and see what we can do with it. This is an envelope, so I'm using this one. I've stitched this end down, but here we still have a pocket, so there's the ability to do something with that potentially. That's the bottom of that music page, just so as not to waste it. And again, both sides of this piece, that's the scan of a gel print, or 2 different gel prints that I've done. So there you go. You'll see I've kept things quite neutral. I've left some string there of the bits that I've stitched round, just to add a bit of sort of interest. So the thing we're going to do now is I'm going to peg these signatures to keep them together, choose some thread, and then we'll have a go at this hidden spine. Okay everyone, so I've got everything I need. I've checked through my signatures for the last time, made sure everything is where I want it, and I've clipped them, and I've got them in the right order that I want. So this is signature number 1, number 2, and number 3. So we're going to put those to the side. I've got my nice big needle with some neutral coloured thread, and I've got my hidden spine and my graph paper. Now, This is old graph paper, and it's in 1/4 inch squares. In New Zealand now we've gone over to the metric system, so graph paper that you buy these days is in centimetres, but this is an old piece. So we've got 1/4 inch squares. So what I've done, I've got 3 signatures, so I have marked it so that I have 1/2 inch, and I'll try and give you an approximate centimetre. It's round about 1¼ centimetres. So I've got 1/2 inch between the edge and where my first signature is going to be. I've got 1/4 inch, and my next signature, sorry, 1/2 inch, because I've got 2 1/4 inch squares. So I've got 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/2 inch. So my signatures are going to be along these lines here, and then there's 1/2 inch before the edge of the spine. So this, you'll see what I mean in a minute. So my graph paper, I'm going to cut the end off so that it is the same size. There we go. So the graph paper is the same size as my spine. All right. So what I need to do now is to decide how many holes I want and to space them out evenly. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I've decided I'm going to have 6 holes. So I want this to be fairly sturdy. Normally I would do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, but I'm actually going to do 6 holes. So I'm actually just going to calculate how far in I want the first ones, and then I'm going to space the others evenly. Now my maths is shocking, and so that's going to take me a moment, so I might just, oh my goodness, that was a painful process. Right, maths is not my strong point, folks. All right, but what I have done, now bearing in mind this piece of the graph paper and the spine are the same size as the journal. The pages are just slightly smaller. So what I've done, there is about 1/4 inch, so 1 square at each end, that is longer than the pages. So what I've done is, bearing that in mind, I've come in 4 squares, so 1 inch from each end, so there and there, and that's where my first hole is going to be. Now I want 6 holes, so I've spaced the other 4 roughly equally. So what I'm going to do is to grab a longer ruler. So these are the lines where my signatures are going to sit. 1, 2, and 3. And these are the lines where my holes are going to be. That makes sense. So let me grab a different coloured pencil. So at the intersection of each of these lines, I'm going to make a hole. So there will be my 6 holes for each signature, reasonably evenly spaced. All right, hopefully that makes sense. So this will go onto here. And this is an old piece of sponge. I actually use it for needle felting. You can use a bit of polystyrene packaging, anything you've got really, and it just helps. All right, so I'm going to lay this template on my spine, and at each of these points I'm going to make a hole through the template and through the fabric. Now, one of the things I didn't do, which I should have done, was just to make a note of which is the top. So I'm just going to have a quick look at my fabric. And I'm pretty sure, yes, I wanted that blue bit at the top. So this is going to be the top of my pages. So I'm actually just going to put top, because although my holes, I think, are evenly spaced, if I make sure that this template, the top goes to the top of my page, like my signatures every time, then I should get my holes in the same place. All right, so I'm going to lay that down. What I'm going to do is just to carefully turn that over, and just to make double sure, I'm going to write top on the back of there as well. Okay, so pop that to one side for a moment. Using the same template. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you will know this is a little balsa wood, looks like a feeding trough for animals, that Mr. Jem made for me. And when I'm doing signatures, I can sit my signature in there, and then I'm going to lay my template. In fact, I'm going to fold my template. Sorry, I'm going to fold my template along that middle line of holes, just so for ease. And then being mindful that this is the top, so I'm going to line up the top. I'm also being mindful that I need one square. Let's just move that. Ooh. I need one square at each end to extend beyond the signatures. Now that should be in the right place for me to make the holes. You can use anything to make holes. I use a weeding tool from my Cricut set. Right, and sorry, I have to do it this way around. I just go through like that in each hole. Okay, so I'm going to place that signature there. Again, being mindful which is the top, which is the bottom. Exactly the same. Line it up. I have a pile here with signature number 1 on top, and I have my spine, checking that the top is up there. I find it easier to work from right to left, so I'm actually going to flip those over and start with my last signature. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the top hole here, and I'm actually just going, and I don't very often do this, but I'm actually just going to tie a knot . I'm going to put just a little bit of tape to hold that there. Right, here we go. Now, as I say, bear with me, I've never done this before. I usually just do a very simple 3-hole pamphlet stitch. But look, it's all about learning, isn't it? And the technique is the same. So again, I would, you know, say to you, if you've only ever done the 3-hole pamphlet stitch, give it a go. I watched Barbara from 49 Dragonflies. Sorry, I'm talking and working at the same time. I watched Barbara at 49 Dragonflies, excuse me, do this. And so I will link her video below so that if I'm confusing you, she may explain it a bit better. Okay. And I'm literally just going to work my way down that first row of holes in the spine. I've got quite a long bit of thread here, so it is starting to knot up a little bit. Okay, so what you'll see there is I've got all the signatures in and I've pulled them all tight. Now, I have two options at this point in time. I can tie this, finish it off with a knot, and that's my signatures complete. And each one will just have these three pieces, oh gosh, I can't get my words out today. Each one will have the three binding cords showing like that. Or I can choose to go back through each hole in the other direction, just as you would with pamphlet stitch. So going back through here, coming up in here and going down in here, and that will give me the stitching all the way along the middle. So I need to have a think about how strong I think this is going to be. I don't know whether there's any advantages to going back, but I think I'm going to. So I make sure that's nice and tight, and then I'm actually going to go back and go through all those holes again so that I get that double strength binding. I've got plenty of string left, and so why not? I would rather spend an extra few minutes, sorry, this is going round and round, isn't it? I would rather spend an extra few minutes doing that now and make sure that my journal is nice and firm. There we are, back to the beginning. Now, had I left a longer end there, I could have tied that off together, which would probably have been the sensible way. And if I was going to do this again, I would know. I would leave a longer end there. As it is, I don't think that end is long enough for me to... Well, it might be just long enough for me to tie off. Let's see. One of the other things I'm going to do... sticky tape everywhere now. One of the things I am going to do just before I tie it off is just to go back through, and now I can pull both ways and just make sure that all that binding is as tight as I can get it. Look at that. So I have managed to tie those two ends. As I say, if I was doing this again, I would definitely leave a longer end just to make that process easier. There we go. Couple of knots, and just for extra measure I'm going to weave that. Down there. Okay. Where's my little scissors? Cut that off. Okay, moment of truth. Let's take the clips off. Make sure everything is holding and where we want it. Oh, okay, so what we need to do now is to glue this into the cover. And what I'm going to do actually is just to fray the edges just a little bit. If I can, I might not be able to, might be too stuck to the paper. I'm just going to pull off any odd bits. There we go. The rest is sort of stuck to the paper. Okay, moment of truth. the last bit of my Tiger Grip glue that I've been using, and I'm hoping that there's just about enough in there. You can use whatever glue you like, it depends what you can get where you live. In New Zealand we tend to be a little bit restricted on some of the products we can get unless you're prepared to pay an awful lot of money for delivery. Now I just want to think about this a second, because I don't want to get glue. Got a scrap bit of paper there. I don't want to get glue on my pages here. Let's put that over there. Right. Before that gets too dry. Again, I'm going to double check. We've got the top here and the top of our journal cover matching up the top and bottom of the spine with the journal cover. I'm just going to fold and double check. Yep, that's in the right place. Clips on that. And if you've got something like a bone folder, you can use that to stick this down really firmly. Now, if I find that there wasn't enough glue on there, I am actually going to town tomorrow. Now, that sounds a little odd, but we live an hour from our nearest shop, so we don't get into town that often, and you need to remember not to forget the milk when you go shopping. But I am going to town tomorrow and I do need to get some more of that glue. So if I find, so what I'm doing now is just going in between those signatures, making sure that's stuck down really firmly. If when it dries I find that it hasn't stuck, I will put a bit more glue on it, because I can get some more tomorrow. Exactly the same in between the other signatures. Just make sure that's really firmly stuck down. Okay, that seems to be doing well. I'm just moulding that with my hand, because as you can see, and if you saw the first part of this video, you will know that the diary cover that I used had a rounded spine as opposed to a square one. So I'm just using the palm of my hand just to round that off so that it doesn't dry too square. Making sure all those ends are tucked in. Alright folks, now I'm going to leave that to dry, but in essence, there we go. That's the journal with the hidden spine. Once it's dry in a little while, we'll come back, we'll have a quick flick through, and I will think about whether I actually want to do any more to this journal now, or whether I want to leave it completely blank for the Dephemerember challenge. I'm also going to learn how to say Dephemerember. Okay everyone, this has been drying for about half an hour on a nice warm windowsill, and I'm pleased to report seems to have worked. All right, so let's unclip these pages, and there we go. Now because it's been drying open like this, it isn't quite wanting to stay closed at the moment, so once I've finished with it today, I'll leave it like that and perhaps pop a book on top just to make sure that spine's nice and firm and flexible. Now this, as I said in my last video, this is the first time I've participated in this challenge, and I've had a real dilemma in my head for the last few days as to whether I leave the journal completely blank like this until the challenge starts, or whether I put a few things like tuck spots and pockets and whatever in now. And I'm aware that some people who have channels and are participating have done quite a lot of decoration, others have done none at all. I think as it's my first time, I'm going to go somewhere in the middle of that continuum. And what I'm going to do today is just to put a couple of things in. So I'd like a couple of pockets, couple of belly bands or tuck spots, something like that. Not too many. Just a couple, so that if I have a day where the ephemera has taken a lot of time, or I'm short on time, then I can make my piece of ephemera and just pop it in somewhere. I've got, as you've seen with my flip through, I've got some pieces like this which I'm going to leave at the moment. They may become pockets, and I have a couple of envelopes in there. So I think what I'm going to do today is just to make, as I say, a couple of tuck spots or belly bands, just as a provision for being short of time. So this is probably going to become a pocket at some stage, and I know that the other end of that is also a little tuck spot there. I don't want to do too much because for me, I don't want to feel constrained when I'm actually participating in the challenge. But I've got a couple of sort of fairly neutral things here. This is an old greetings card, and these are some pages from an art magazine. This in particular I love. I'm going to turn this into a belly band. So let's have a go with these. As I say, this I particularly like, and I want to turn into a belly band. So that's about the length of my page. So I cut just about there. Sorry, I'm talking to myself whilst I'm doing this. Let me know in the comments below. Are you participating in this challenge? And if you are, what do you do? Do you decorate the pages first, or do you wait until you're doing the challenge? I want to think about this. And if you've done both, what are the advantages and disadvantages? I'd be really interested to know what you think. And as I say, this has come out of an art sort of journal, so it's quite nice thick paper, and what I'm doing is actually just folding it back on itself, and I'm going to glue it like that to make quite a wide belly band. In fact, it might even go on that page. So let's find some glue. I'll grab my PVA. Ooh. This is just very ordinary PVA glue. I buy it in a bulk container, and so I pull it out and put it in a pot like that. To make it easier to use. Now I'm going right up that edge. Probably ought to have a bit of plastic underneath it, but never mind. There we go. So I've just sandwiched that together. Ooh. Wipe a bit of excess glue off there. And I'm actually going to fold the edges, the ends under as well. Get rid of that bit of seepage with the glue there. And I've got some narrow double-sided tape here. Yep, that's the right way. And do you know what? I actually really like that there. What I am going to do, sorry, I've just got a bit of glue on there, wipe that off. So it's that nice book page that has got a little bit of shine to it. What I am going to do is just to grab my ink, looking for my ink pad. And one of those. Just going to ink the edges before I put it in, because I know if I don't, I'll regret it and wish I'd done it. Now, it may be that as I'm doing the challenge, I add more decoration to this belly band, but for now, as I say, I'm just going to get a couple of pieces in to start me off. On that side. There we go. Gosh, you can never get the ends up on the double-sided tape when you want to, can you? There we go. Right, I'm going to pop that. Hoping that's straight. Sorry if you've got my head in the way. There we go. Down the middle. There we go. Quick and easy belly band. Started me off all right. I've got this one which I'd like to put in as well. I thought I might like to use this as a pocket. Trouble is I'm not sure it's neutral enough. I might leave that for now. I might put it in my box. So I've got this piece as well, which I thought might, let's flick to the next signature. We'll do 1 or 2 things in each signature, I think, today. It's got that quite nice green tinge, hasn't it? And I quite like this line across here. So what I might do, I'm thinking actually just quite a nice big bold pocket. One of the things that I have done as I've been starting this journal and thinking about this project is that I have, actually I'm going to take that purple bit off, I have a box, a dedicated box, and in that box I've been putting bits and pieces that I think might be good for this challenge. So I've started to collect up a few scraps and bits and pieces. Some of them are offcuts of the pages or the fabric that I've used. And some are just other things that I've come across that I've sort of thought might be useful for the challenge, and I've just been collecting them together. So hopefully by the time the challenge starts, I won't be starting from a completely empty ideas space, if you like. I will have some bits and pieces to spark inspiration and to start me off. Alright, so again you see I've just lightly inked the edges of that. I'm actually just going to rub over it as well, just to give it a little bit of a more colour, a bit more distressed look. So this is going to go in my middle signature somewhere. I'm going to go there. Now I've seen a lot of people use glue for their pockets. I've always used double-sided tape. I don't know why. I don't know. Again, if you think there's any advantages and disadvantages, let me know in the comments below. I think I'm always frightened of glue not sticking with pockets or coming away when you put something in them. And I somehow feel that double-sided tape is less likely to do that. But I may be wrong. As I say, I'd love to know what you think. And I really do battle with the double-sided tape sometimes. You have to excuse my hands today if you're looking and going, oh, they're a bit yucky, Jam. I've been gardening for the last few days. We're well into spring here now, and it's the time of year when we start potting up all the vegetables we've grown from seed and planting them out once they get a bit bigger. So my poor old hands have been in the garden. Alright, so there's another pocket. Again, quite plain for now. Might do something else with it during the challenge when we put some ephemera in it. And One more thing in our last. Oh, now this one I'm thinking about what to do with. I think I'm going to, whilst I've got my half circle punch here, I might do it this way. Make it a pocket this way. There's the middle. And about there. Excuse my head if it's in the way. So I think we've got somewhere between 10 days and 2 weeks before the prompts come out. I have to say I'm getting quite excited. I've participated in a number of challenges before. I've only had my little channel going for a few months, so the only other one I've done on video was the July postcard play this year, and I used that to give myself a bit of a boot up the backside to actually get my own channel started. So this will only be about the second challenge, or it will be the second challenge that I've done and videoed. I've participated in a number before just for myself. I've been crafting for years. But love it when you do that. Can you see that? Where that stitching is slightly raised, when you rub your ink over it, it really picks it up. Love it when it does that. A little bit more on the edge. There you go. So that's another sort of pocket started. Oh, I'm still coming back to this card, whether to use it or not. But what I'm going to do, oh, beautiful butterfly on the back, look at that. I'll keep that. Now this card says it's, this is a piece of artwork by Julia Christian. She is an Auckland-based artist whose practice includes printmaking, stitching and painting. A love of insects, houses and gardens inspires her work. So thank you, Julia Christian. Lovely New Zealand artwork. And I have to, I guess, just clarify that this journal is not going to be sold, it's just for me. So I have no issues using a piece of art like this in here. Alright, so I've just trimmed off all the white around that. Let's have a look. I do have, oh no, it might go like that. Let's just have a think. Oh, decisions. I do quite like it on there actually. What about the other side of that piece? Again, it could be a pocket here, couldn't it? Or if I cut it across here, I could do two pockets. And place them one here and one here. These are a bit like Woody Stabilos, I have to say. They're crayons that are water activated. A piece of paper. It's quite bright, isn't it? We'll do a combination of the two, maybe. Or I might mix some brown in. I'm just wanting to get rid of the white border on this page, which was where my printer doesn't quite do edge to edge printing. I'm hoping with that sort of mix of colours. Yeah. Okay, let's find a little brush. Oh, everything's falling everywhere. A drop of water. So the question, I guess, is do I need to put that border down this side of the page as well? Do you know what? I think I probably do. There we go. Let's just add a bit of colour and a bit of grunge. And what I'm going to do, gosh, my desk is getting a bit messy. Hang on. Oh, clear. I'm going to use my trimmer just so that I get it straight. This way. I don't know how much of that you can see, but what I've done is just chopped it in half to make 2 pockets. I've still got a little bit of white on there, so there we go. And just use that ink because it's there, just to take the whiteness off the edge of the cards. Do I want notches in the pockets? That's the question. I feel like I probably do, but only little ones. But before I do, actually, around the top corners, I think, just for something a little bit different. I don't expect you can see that, can you? Sorry, I get so much stuff all over my desk. It's difficult sometimes to keep everything in shot. I really am not the tidiest person when I'm working. Now I'm eyeballing this because I don't want to fold it, and I only just want the tiniest little notch like that. Well, I might look this way because there's a house in the middle there. There we go, that one's a little bit bigger, it doesn't matter. There we go. And I'm going to pop them like that. And then we're going to have two little pockets. Alright. Where are my detritus? Here we go. So hopefully one of the things that this is showing you, again, is that, you know, and I probably say this in every video that I do, you don't have to spend a lot of money to be able to create interesting and attractive things. Upcycle what you have a look around the house, see what you can find. This was a lovely greetings card that some family members sent to us to say thank you for having them to stay. And I used to be really sentimental and keep everything like that. And obviously, over a number of years, you accumulate quite a lot of things. So now I try to use those things instead in a way that I will still get the pleasure of seeing them, and I might even remember what they were given to me for, but I'm not just keeping stacks and stacks of cards and letters and things that are not being used or in a box and not being seen. So I'm going to just line that up with that border. There we go. There's another couple of little pockets. So I think today I'm going to leave it at that for this journal, and we'll see what happens when the challenge starts. As I said, I have a definite fear of being constrained by having too many things already in the journal. But so if we go from the back, we've got a little pocket there. We've got these two that we've just done. That one. Got this potential fold out, potential pocket. We've got an envelope here. We've got a pocket there that we've done today. And we've got our belly band in here. Again, another potential pocket or fold out there. Alright folks, so today I'm going to leave it at that. We'll come back when the challenge starts. We'll have a look at the prompt list and start thinking about how we're going to participate in this challenge. Just before I go, I want to show you, I was talking about, I have a whole load of these boxes. I don't know whether you can see that. Oh, it's a bit big, isn't it? It's a 12 by 12 box and you can unclip them and they fold flat when you're not using them. But I tend to, when I have a journal on the go like this, I tend to have a box like this, and I can keep all my bits and pieces, anything I think that's going to be useful. I can collect along the way and pop in there. And then, as I say, I'm not starting from absolute scratch. So, hope that's been useful, folks. Journal for Dephemerember. Thank you for watching. Love your comments, leave them below. Give us a thumbs up if you like what you see. But for now, ka kite anō.